Hello, everybody. I trust that you are all well. As you can clearly see, I'm taking a slightly different approach to my newsletter input this time around. I had diligently prepared my input to the newsletter, but changing circumstances meant that I had to rework that input. So I decided that perhaps this might be the best way to talk to you. So I had decided that I would what's the word? I'm trying to find a word that isn't the P word, the one that rhymes with divot. So I guess I'm going to use the word adapt. I had to adapt. So I also think that this is probably the best way for me to feel at least a personal connection to you. So anyway, welcome to what promises to be an extremely exciting year in the life of the Shore Festival and by extension in our lives as Girl Volunteers. As you'll recall and probably seen in the media, it is the 60th anniversary of the Shore Festival, which is reason enough to celebrate. But also, we deserve to celebrate because we have been involved as volunteers since day one, made a significant contribution to the success of the Shore, as has been recognized by Shore Festival over the years. For ourselves in the Guild, we do have a theme to recognize and celebrate that involvement as volunteers with the Shore. And we're calling that Celebrate 60. So you'll see that throughout the year. And in fact, it's referenced, as you will read, in the newsletter. In the newsletter, you will read about the activities and events that we've planned for the year. Obviously, the most recent announcements from the provincial government mean that from the middle of March onwards, we'll actually be able to meet in person, something that obviously we're all looking forward to. This tool that I'm using to speak to you today and the use of Zoom are imperfect in a way. They are good for communications to some degree, but there is no substitute for the personal connection. I'm really looking forward to that. Some of it we did experience at the end of 2021 in the holiday season, where we did do some greeting and some hosting until that was unfortunately curtailed because of COVID. Now, I really want to focus in this introduction on that first event of the year. Now, the event takes place next Monday at 11 o'clock a.m. And it is an online event. Again, we're still restricted by the protocols. We cannot meet in person. Originally, when this was planned, it was back in early December. Once the AGM is over, what we do is we go into planning for the following year, 2022 in this case. We work on the budget, we work on operational plans, and we work with Shore on the events and activities. For example, we sometimes obviously use Shore facilities and we have to get on the calendar. And in a particularly busy year, perhaps the busiest year in its existence, that's been particularly challenging for all of us. But we had a plan in place. And of course, we had to change it because of the lockdown that came shortly after we'd agreed that list of activities. And we also put in place a plan B. So if we cannot meet in person, we will have, again, the imperfect tool that it might be Zoom sessions, or as we're using today, StreamYard. The event itself, it's entitled Celebrate 60, Let the Season Begin. And I have to say, I'm really excited, first and foremost, that during that session, which will involve the two Tims, and Ian Joseph. And for those of you who will not recognize Ian's name, Ian is the incoming chair of the board of directors. And I've had the great honor and pleasure to have worked with Ian on the board this past year. So what you will do, you will see if you are able to attend this session next Monday morning at 11, and there is a link in the newsletter that you will see to access the session. I would encourage you to attend, and I would encourage you to participate in terms of questions that you can put in the chat box or any observations that you have. We'd always like to hear from you. Essentially, this is Let the Season Begin is about their perspectives, their individual perspectives, and also for you to meet Ian, who is keen to meet you. And we were all keen to have had this as a face-to-face meeting. We had reserved the Shore Festival Theatre, and we had full anticipation that we would actually be able to congregate. And of course, the lockdown occurred, and now we're going to sort of plan B. As I say, the session on the 31st of January will be recorded. So those of you who are not able to attend next Monday morning, and again, I do recognize that this is fairly short notice, but we were able to keep on Ian and the two Tims calendars to be able to do this. So I didn't want to lose the opportunity. If you can't see it, if you can't attend, you will be able to see it as a video that will be offered. And again, if you have any questions on or observations on the session, having viewed the video not live, then please send them to me. And what we've decided to do is consolidate all those questions and the responses that we will get from the two Tims and from Ian, if you have particular questions following that. Now, I can't promise that we'll be able to turn that around quickly, because after January 31st, the season is almost upon us. As you know, it begins in early February. We've never seen a start to a season like this, and we haven't seen as extensive a season. The good news for us, I think, is that we will, once we're back in action, we'll really be in action. So let's hope that we can begin to assist the Shore shortly after the opening. I don't particularly anticipate that we'll work in February, but I think from the middle of March onwards, we will be a full go. Again, I think, based on the most recent protocol announcements, I'm hoping that our spring preview will be a face-to-face meeting. I sincerely hope that. But again, I would say to you that we are subject to, as the Shore is subject to any changes that the provincial government might make in terms of protocols. And we don't know what will happen once the new protocols are in place and what the reaction will be. But let's just keep together, watch this space. If we have to make changes, we will let you know as soon as we can. I'd just like to close by thanking you all for your continued support of the Guild and by extension the Shore, particularly in the last 2 years or so when it's been difficult for all of us. I really do, as do my EC colleagues, look forward to actually seeing you in person. Hope to see you soon, probably maybe mid-March. And until then, please keep safe and well. And thank you for listening today. Goodbye.